What's up, GCIO? Welcome to part 2 of our summer series, Come Through Together. Before I hand it off to Kevin for tonight's message, I wanted to let you know about something super fun we're having on our social media this week. Starting tomorrow, we are having a GCIO Digital Spirit Week, and there will be plenty of chances for you to win some awesome prizes. So all you need to do is follow along on our Instagram accounts and watch for the theme of each day. Complete the challenge, post it on your story and tag us, and we will announce a winner every night. So make sure you follow along. Take it away, Kevin.
What's up? What's up? What is going on, GCIO family? My name is Kevin Kubandi, and I'm so excited that you are joining us tonight. If this is your first time with us on YouTube Live or your first time in a long time, please jump into the chat and comment your name or just give us a wave emoji. We would love to connect with you and just get to know you a little bit better. If you are watching this with your small group in one of our driveway groups, or you're over someone's backyard, or you're just at someone's house right now watching this, please let us know where you're watching this from and send us a little bit of a shout out. I know in the season it's been really tough for us to meet together in one place. But the awesome thing is that even though we cannot meet in one place together, we're meeting in multiple places together in spirit. So please let us know where you're at so that we can send you a shout out. Today we are going to be doing part 2 of Stronger Community. Last week, my man Shane kicked us off with part 1, and he talked to us about how if we want to leave the season with a stronger community, that we need to prioritize others first above ourselves. And if we are humble enough to do that, then we will be able to potentially see healing around us, that we'll potentially see our communities get healed, our families get healed, even our nation get healed if we're willing to walk out in humility. Gwinnett County can look different if we walk out in humility. So if you haven't heard it yet, please make sure you check it out this week. Talking about humility kind of reminds me of a time when I was seriously humbled by my girlfriend, Sarah. She is an insane competitor. We both love to compete, but she is a beast of a competitor. I mean, this girl is savage. Classy, bougie, definitely not ratchet. She is a woman of God, but she is just an awesome competitor, and we love to compete. One time we were actually competing in front of, it wasn't in front, but we were at main event. And we were with some of our GCIO H-Mill family, and our small group leaders were there, and we were all just having a good time. And we decided to go bowling while we were at main event. And I'll be honest, your boy was talking a little trash. Okay, I even pulled out my phone and was showing my strikes on my Instagram story, and I was like, "Yo, who's the best bowler out here? Your boy. Who's not a good bowler? Sarah." And next thing I know, I start throwing some gutter balls, and she's hitting some strikes, and somehow out of nowhere everybody decides to stop playing their game and they start watching our game. And now I'm hearing small group leaders chipping away and talking a little trash, and they're like, "Oh, Kevin thought he was nice. Surprise, this guy's getting destroyed right now." And after the complete humbling process, as the mature, responsible adult that I am, I decided to block my girlfriend from Instagram. That's right, I canceled her for 24 hours. Don't you judge me. Hold up. Okay. I still had to apologize thoroughly for it, and I got her a very nice dinner. Trust me, I paid for it. But I know this sounds completely immature and totally foolish, But in many ways, like you're probably thinking, like, why? Like this totally sounds just dumb. Why would you do that? Why would you block your girlfriend? Why would you isolate yourself from somebody that cares about you? And in many ways, even though it sounds really dumb, in many ways, we all do that a lot. Matter of fact, in this season right now, that might be something that you may be doing. That in a season where we all need community the most, the people that want to reach out to you the most, that want to connect with you the most, whether it be friends, whether it be family members that don't live here, maybe don't live in the state, maybe it's family, maybe it's small group leaders or small group peers. We find ourselves isolating ourselves from the people that want to connect with us the most. That it may be even easier for us to spend more time watching Netflix or being on Instagram or learning a new TikTok dance than it is for us to have a conversation with our family in this season. That for some of us, we are experiencing more worry, more fear, more anxiousness in this season. And every time we try to pick up the phone to text or call someone and to let them know, we end up talking ourselves out of it. We say, man, maybe they don't want to know about this, or I don't want to bother them. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. And we live in the space where we constantly are isolating ourselves from others in a time where we are all experiencing a season that we never expected, in a time where all our plans are constantly changing, in a time where we need community the most. We can find ourselves blocking out our family, our friends, our small groups, and our small group leaders, and living in a space of isolation. And here's the thing, I think there's a better way than that. Matter of fact, I know there's a better way than that. I know that God has a better way than isolation, that he has a better plan for us, that he has a better plan for you. And I think the best way for us to hear the plan that God has for us is to hear his heart and hear his plan through his word. So today we're going to dive into the book of Ruth, and we're going to take a snapshot of this story and dive into a picture of a better way than isolation. Because the three characters that I'm going to introduce to you, they had a choice. They had a choice of isolation, or they had a choice of doing something different. And I'm about to jump into, as I'm about to read this, where they make a decision, where one of them makes a decision that radically transforms her life, and not only her life, but transforms the lives of many other people. And then another one that chooses a different path. Now, before we jump in, I just want to give you a little context of the characters that we're going to be reading about right now. We're going to be reading about three widows. One is an older widow. She is the mother-in-law of these two younger women who are her daughters-in-law. And these women, obviously, they married her sons, but the mother-in-law, Naomi, lost her husband many years before, and her sons have just passed in this land that she's living in, the land that is known as the land of Moab. And as she's living in this land, she's looking and weighing her decisions, weighing her options, and realizes for her to stay in this land, especially in the time period that she's in, she doesn't have any support. She's got the only relatives that she has with her are women. And during that time, if you were a widow, without any children. You were part of the lowest class in community. And she realizes for her to be in the land of Moab is not the best decision for her. So she's about to head back home to Judah and hope that she can find some support where she's heading. Now, in this moment, the two daughters-in-law, they're from Moab. So for them to leave and also be widows, it doesn't make sense for them. It would actually be better for them to stay where they're at. Now, the two daughters-in-law are Ruth and Orpah. And here Naomi is pleading with them and telling them, hey, do yourself a favor. Just stay in this land. Don't go with me. And they start pleading with her and they're crying. And it's just a whole scene of it's really just a sad scene in this moment. And Naomi's really trying to convince her daughters-in-law just to stay. Now, one of them makes a decision and another one makes a different decision. But right here, we're about to jump into the logic that Naomi is making for them. Because at this point, the only way that they could gain status and protection and income in a way that would truly support them was for them to get married. And Naomi is saying, hey, my time is done. My years have passed. There's no one that's going to want to marry me. And even if I did get married, I couldn't have children for you to have. I couldn't have children so that you could eventually marry them one day. So there's no point for you to stay around with me. I'm actually bringing no value to your life. Matter of fact, in verse 13, in Ruth chapter 1, verse 13, she says this: would you wait until they grew up? Talking about the children that she potentially could have with some potential husband. She's like, would you wait for these kids to grow up one day? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. And then she goes on and says something that's really crucially important. And I want you to listen to these words because we can often do this ourselves. She says this: it's more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me. Sometimes when we are so focused on what is going wrong in our life, we can make it seem like our circumstances are worse than anybody else's circumstances that they are experiencing. And in this moment, Naomi is so tunneled vision on the things that she has lost, on what she has lost, and the things that she has lost, that she's totally ignoring and forgetting the people that have stuck around. And after hearing Naomi's plea, in verse 14, this is what one of the daughters do. Verse 14 says this: at this, they wept aloud again. All the women cried. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. Orpah said, you know what, you're right. My odds would probably be better here. Like, staying here just makes, I guess it'll make sense for me. It's what everybody else is doing. I might as well just do it. But as the verse continues, it says this: but Ruth clung and held on to Naomi. Where Orpah chose isolation and chose the path that Naomi was recommending for her, here Ruth decides to choose to cling to Naomi. Verse 15, Naomi, in an effort to talk more sense into Ruth, says this in verse 15: look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. I'm going to read that again. Verse 15, look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. Hey, Ruth, look at the decision that Orpah is making. Look at the decision. And for some of us, it may not be, our Orpah may not actually be a person, but it could be society. Look at the decisions the society is doing right now. Look at the ways that people are responding to this time period right now. Look at the ways that people are responding to stress and worry and fear. They're not opening up about it. They're isolating themselves. They're going into their rooms. They're hiding from the world. They're just saying I'm okay or it's fine. Look at how society responds to stress. Look at how society responds to worry. Look how society responds to fear. Look at what your OPA in your community is doing. But Ruth doesn't decide to go with the flow. She doesn't decide to go with what society says. She doesn't decide to go with the noise of the time. She doesn't decide to go with isolation. Instead, this is how Ruth responds to Naomi. She says this, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." In this moment where Ruth could have chosen to isolate, in this moment where Ruth could have chosen to go on her own way, she chose to cling. She chose to connect herself to Naomi. And as you read later on in this book, it's a very short book, and I would very much recommend y'all to check it out and see what happens. What we find out later on in scripture is that Ruth's decision to connect to Naomi not only impacted her life in the time period, but also changed the destinies of many afterwards. You see, because Ruth, even though Naomi thought that this was going to be the end of her, that God had forgotten about her, God was actually creating a new legacy through Ruth for Naomi and for Ruth, that God was actually going to do more in them and through them as they stayed connected. Here's the thing. For some of us, actually, I should believe for a lot of us, that who we decide to connect ourselves with, if we decide to connect ourselves with the people of God, we will be able to experience the plans of God. Ruth's decision to connect to Naomi not only led to King David's birth, which was part of their family legacy. David, the giant slayer, great grandmother was Ruth. Not only was David's great grandmother Ruth, Jesus's great many greats grandmother was Ruth. Because these two women decided to connect, God allowed them to play a role in impacting eternity. In this season, right now, when it is so easy for us to choose isolation, students, I challenge you to choose connection. I challenge you in this season to pick up the phone and make that phone call to that person that God has been putting in your heart. I challenge you in this season to not just meet on Sundays with your small group, but maybe meet other days beside just Sunday. I challenge you to reconnect with a friend that you probably haven't spoken to in a while, that you may need to forgive or they need to forgive you, whatever it may look like. I challenge you to reconnect because you have no idea what is on the other side of you connecting with the people that God wants you to connect with. That our ability to choose connection over isolation will allow us to see God do some great things in us and through us. So here's my question for you as you guys jump in to small group. What does it look like in this season for you to connect more and to say no to isolation. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a great small group.